evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition, the first edition of 2020-25 of Fire Up. Are we excited?
We are. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah, and happy 62nd birthday to me.
Yay, Scott. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Scott.
Happy wedding anniversary, Candy and Scott.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it feel like I did my stepdad, but this is a clean show.
Yeah, number 62 actually took place on Sunday after the Miami Hurricanes Iowa State game. So
okay.
I've never had two smoothies in one day, but that was a good time to do it.
Good man.
Yes, that was fun. I thought we would start out the show a little differently tonight, and I'd like us to go around the horn here on what in 2025 is one thing you're looking forward either to doing, a place you're going to go, or event you're going to go to. One thing that you are looking forward to. And since we have the presence of the founder of the South Florida Tribune as a guest on here tonight, Scott, we're going to let you start off.
Survive the year. It seems like that's my life story every year. We usually meet our health deductible in February, so and we have a feeling we're probably on track to do it again. But survive the year and enjoy. I'll announce it on this show that I am semi-retiring, effective immediately. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm not going to be doing as many sporting events. I'll do a fair amount of these shows, but I just want to take it easy and be able to pick and choose where I want to go. I'm making that announcement now public that I am semi-retiring. 45 years into business with George has been great. I still plan to be a presence. I still plan to work on with the Miami Hurricanes, and we'll see what other stuff comes our way. I have a passion for motorsports, and we leased a van that's actually what's called a Honda Bull Cruiser. So, and if you don't know what a Bull Cruiser is, well, I made it up, but it's a part of the van. So, there'll probably be some Marlin stuff, but I just don't want to feel like at this particular point, another thing is going overseas for the first time, and Candy and I will do a project probably in New Orleans that she can talk more about. I think I've given you guys a mouthful, haven't I? And again,
probably. Okay, Mr. George, what are you looking forward to in 2025?
Well, not to steal Mr. Jeremy's thunder, but you know where this is going, Mr. Jeremy. Yeah, it's called A Date, and it's called A Game, and it's called New Orleans, who's been in the news, unfortunately, and it's called the Detroit Lions, Super Bowl or bust. I kind of laughed when I heard that way back, but it was serious stuff. Obviously, the reporters that cover the Lions day in and day out, like Jeremy and others, you just cannot have a successful season as good as they've been the last 2 years and not want to at least win the Big E. So that's what I look forward to, and that's right around the corner. My gosh, right around the corner. I mean, next month is the Super Bowl, of course, so that would be one thing. The other thing would be, on a baseball level, can the Tigers repeat? Can they get back into the playoffs? Can they do even better next year? I mean, those are my two favorite sports, baseball and football. So that's what I got, Candy.
Okay. Ralph, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward to continuing my radio shows on The Answer 1250 a.m. because I had to get away from Beaver County Radio in May because they put the stick to me. But I'm looking forward to just surviving. I mean, I've had this year, we had a bad trip to Erie. We had a fire in our building as soon as we came back from our trip. And then a shooting last week. I'm just looking to, and I'm hoping that this year is a more peaceful year here in Pittsburgh and, all across the country. And we don't have what we're having right now. And, I'm hoping that's the case. And I'm hoping that I can get some more subscribers for my YouTube channel, followers on my Twitter account. I'm regenerized despite the fact I didn't get my 200 goal on my subscribers. I was 8 short. But, thought about hanging it up. But some people called me up and emailed me and said, Ralph, don't do it. And so there we are.
Well, Ralph, I would tell you that this is a tough business. Stick with it and just keep networking and you'll get there. You're going to get that 200. Just keep going. Just keep networking with the right people. Keep listening to Scott. Scott's got you, trying to build up your LinkedIn, some of your other followers, because with those will also come your YouTube subscribers. So just keep with the program is what I would say for that one.
Yeah, I'm just a little frustrated because I didn't get to 200, but I have some people in my life like Scott and Claudia Rosano and a few other people that said, "Hey, don't do it. Just keep going." So
Hey, listen, Ralph, I'll give you the best advice I can give you because I see you ranting on your Facebook page about everything that goes wrong with the hotels. Get along with them, man. They're the easiest subscribers. I always say, hey, can you do me a favor? Will you please subscribe to my YouTube channel? I'm trying to get to so many so I can get paid. Instead of telling them, hey, they won't let my dog or they won't let my cat in here. That's whatever.
So wait.
No, let me finish. So they're the easiest subscribers. You know where some of my subscribers actually come from? When I'm in the airport and I have to take a wheelchair all the way through, and then they wheel me from one end of the airport to the other, and before long they got their phone in their hands, and they're subscribing. Ralph, what I'm trying to tell you to do, brother, is get creative, man. Think outside the box.
Okay, can I speak now? I'm host.
Yeah, well, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
So let me tell you, Ralph, there isn't a place that we go to that I don't get embarrassed by Scott saying to every single person, everybody that waits on us, anybody all over, and he says, would you mind subscribing to my YouTube channel? You talk to you have people, waitresses or waiters that wait on you. You go, like he said, to the airport. You have people, the front desk at a hotel. You literally talk to everybody, because if you let's say you talk to 10, let's say 3 of them subscribe and maybe 1 sticks, but you'll grow and you'll keep growing. You just got to keep talking. You got to keep on it. I'll be honest with you, in the beginning, when we'd go someplace and Scott would ask him, I'm like, oh no, not again. But that's how we grow. That's how you grow. You keep talking about it. And honestly, even every doctor's appointment he goes to, every nurse, any place we go, he is asking them to subscribe. He jokes about it with one of his doctors. They talk about it. I mean, you just got to do it.
I actually have a few of my nurses that actually comment on my show. Hey, Ralph, I got an exercise for you on the show right now. Count to 8 right now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You should have counted faster, sick them, man. Really? Seriously? That's how fast you can get them, man. All you got to do is go out there and punch it, man. Punch it. I'm telling you, Ralph, I tell you what, I've dealt with some projects in the past, and I'll guarantee I'll whip you into shape if it takes a Mandingo paddle to do it. If anybody's ever familiar with that movie back in the day, Mandingo, George might be the only one able to do it.
Oh my!
We got to get Mandingo his way into 8 more to get his 200. Oh boy, why you remember Mandingo too, Jeremy?
I used to watch all the old westerns. Yes.
Yeah. Well, Mandingo Ralph into getting another 8, and then he'll find out, because the next time I go out there and ask him to count to 8, he better do it way faster than he did here. You know what? You're listen, Ralph, I love you. You're good to have on the air, but your 8 to me, as far as I'm concerned, I see turtles move faster than that. Seriously? Really? Come on, Ralph, get with the program.
Okay, let me at least introduce some of the people in the chat. Joshua, what's going on? Patty, hello. Dale, good evening. Yes, I'm going to take it to the chat. There is some good content. But it is Pensman's turn. Pensman, what are you looking forward to in 2025?
I am looking to blow my channel up. I want to get 1,000 subscribers, get monetized this year, hopefully, and just have a good steady job and have a good vacation. Just 2-week vacation if we can afford it. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay, Smoking Jeremy B, my co-host. What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to seeing the Lions, just like George, get to that date in February that's been elusive. Is this team to do it? I don't know if there is ever going to be a team more ready. We're getting some people back. You know, John Gruden mentioned it the other day. 10 days ago, we were just saying these guys had 22 guys on the IR, and now they're down to 13. So that's in a week and a half. That's what's changed. And everybody's still going, well, they got 22 on the IR. Evidently, you haven't looked at the IR report since you said it the first time, because it went down to 20 the same day. I don't understand, how bad it is in media to be that far off for that long. But at the same time, I'm looking to get to my 1,000, because I remember when I first started with Scott and I had 85 subscribers and I was proud of it. Remember that, Scott?
Oh, yeah. Keep going.
And then we go to the draft and I have around 200. I'm sitting at 550 right now.
So it takes
And
time, Ralph.
It takes time. I've been doing, I know you've been at it a lot longer, but you were more onto the radio side than the YouTube side when you started, correct?
Yeah.
So,
That was my goal, to get back on the radio, and I succeeded on that goal.
so you succeeded that part.
Yes.
It will succeed. It's just going to take time. But you got to do exactly what Scott said. Scott has heard me do it while we were at the draft. He'd pitch one guy, I'd pitch the other for my channel.
Yeah, it's called good cop, bad cop. Yeah, I mean, what else did you learn at the draft, by the way, Ballrit?
To stay for the entire goddamn thing.
Yeah, don't swear. We don't need swearing.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
If I see you swear, you'll swear that you wish you didn't do it.
I just know.
That's a quarter in a jar.
Yeah, there you go.
It's probably a
There
dollar.
you go.
We'll save up for our remote Christmas party. The one thing Jeremy didn't say, you second head, was watching me go after that Mel Owens immediately right off the bat. I wasted no time. And we had a good 20, 25-minute interview or so. And Jeremy knew right off the bat, when this guy goes to a big event, he don't mess around.
Correct.
Right, Jeremy?
Correct.
I nodded. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
The Mundo.
Yeah. The one thing I noticed about podcasting, I was actually watching Nick Saban on Pat McAfee. I must have been delirious that I watched that show because I can't stand it anyway. I don't like. I personally.
I saw that too.
Did you watch it? I personally despise anybody that uses foul language on a show. I always thought in my mind it was never meant to be that way. Call me old school FCC guy. That's what I am. The FCC caught you using that language. It's a big fat fine, and there goes your occupation. And anybody that attempts to utilize that language on my show gets a tongue lashing in post-production, and you don't want to be a part of my post-production tongue lashes, right?
Right.
Because
right.
I don't feel it's called for, and I don't tolerate it on any show. Period.
Smoking Jeremy.
Nick went crazy today too.
Let me quickly interject what Scott's talking about. This was issued to me, and then Scott got his. It's called the Federal Communications George B. Eichhorn on August 14th, 1981, was given a license to broadcast. And this is what Scott's talking about. I found mine, Scott. I had it tucked away somewhere. I know you guys can't read it or anything, but this is what Scott means. Back in the day, when you worked hard, you worked your butt off in radio, you had to get an FCC license and you had to pay for it. And then you just laminated like I did. But anyways, I wanted to
what did you ever do with mine? I always told you to hold on to it.
Oh no. I'll keep looking for it, Scott. I promise.
I told you to hold on to it, you sick them head. Seriously? Really, Eichhorn? Are you crazy?
No.
This is, as you can tell, folks.
It's probably in a drawer.
Of the year. So I have to get not only fired up, but I have to live up to the name.
It'll be in the drawer.
Yeah. What drawer is that? The one in the deep part of the basement?
Door number 1.
Yeah. In Nomani Hall.
Door number one.
Hashtag
I'll
SEC
get you another
license,
one.
man. That's why you go out there
We'll get
and
you another one. Yeah.
you should. It took me into my 62nd year, 45th with you, and you still don't have it. You are the biggest knucklehead I've ever seen. Well, I don't know. There's other ones bigger than you, but right now
Candy,
you're the
help
only
me,
one that's
Candy.
front of me.
Help me, Jeremy.
No. She can't save you this time. And I'm not using
Jeremy's
any
shaking
foul
his head
language.
no.
I'm staying
I'm
out
not
of it.
using any foul language. I'm using my new words though. Seriously and really. They define
Jeremy's
me
like,
now.
Okay,
start
I'm
this-
going
I'll
to
start
reel the
right there.
show back in. I'm going
Yes.
to reel it back in.
Find it, Icorn.
Let's talk some college football since that's what's been going on right now.
Woohoo.
What has surprised you about this playoff season / bowl season? So if you don't want to talk about the college football playoffs, you can talk about a bowl game. And we're going to start with George.
Oh, after that tongue lashing? Oh, well,
Don't
I
worry.
think
Don't worry. If you get sarcastic, there's another one coming.
I think the biggest thing that surprised me so far is all these great minds, all these great committee members, including Ward Manuel from the U of M, putting this schedule together. And then look what's happening, folks. Look what's happening. Gee, the higher seeds, they're losing. They're losing. And, all the more power. We got Texas, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Ohio State left. But where are the other ones? Where's the top four, so-called top four, when the bowl games were announced, when the playoffs were announced, excuse me. And in other words, here comes the question that all the people always say when you have a layoff, and it happens in a lot of sports, but now it's happening in college football. They got a layoff. The team that was fresher, the team that played more recently, AKA Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State, Texas, guess what? They all won. So I think, Candy, that's my observation so far, because I know we got a lot of people here. We got to move right along. But all the geniuses that got in the room and said, oh, yeah, these are the four teams that are 1 through 4. Well, look what happened. Okay?
Ralph, what's been your surprise?
Well, my surprise has been some of these games in the playoffs. I didn't expect Ohio State to win. I actually thought they were going to lose. Ryan Day saved his job. Notre Dame, I didn't expect them to win. I thought they were going to lose, and they end up moving on. Penn State too. I mean, there were some upsets here that I didn't see coming. I didn't see Oregon getting blown out like that. So, and also some of the bowl games were pretty interesting. Some of them were blowouts. Some of them were overtime games. The bowl season really wasn't that bad. The only problem I have with it is, again, and we can talk about this another time, I'm hoping that this year the NCAA gets some structure in football with the transfer portal and the NIL.
You and everybody else.
Yeah.
Hello, Keegan, and hello, Joseph. Glad you guys have joined us. Smoke and Jeremy B., what about you?
My surprise is that the losing team in Arizona State, Cam Scatterbo, still gets the offensive MVP of the game. I think that's an amazing thing. I don't think it's ever happened before in college football where the offensive player was on the losing team. And I'm not saying he didn't deserve it. 289 yards of total offense, 2 touchdowns. And it did go, 3 overtimes before it was done with Texas? So it was one hell of a game by him. And a hell of a is all one word, not one space.
Yeah. See, I'm in his head already.
Yes. Pensman, what has been your surprise?
I am surprised at the playoffs, and pretty much that's what I've been watching the last 48 hours. If you watched my channel, I've been streaming a lot of games. I've been doing a lot. I just got done watching Notre Dame and Georgia, the Georgia game. I am surprised that a lot of teams come out and they're on fire. Like the end of the first quarter, for 15 minutes, and it's 16-0 already. If you guys haven't noticed, it's been 14-16, nothing. It's crazy. It's like, okay, you guys in the playoffs, show up. But I'm not surprised with the outcomes. I was surprised about Penn State beating Boise State. I thought Boise State had the numbers, but because of what George said with all the layoffs, I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Notre Dame game. So we'll see. But that's why I'm surprised is the quick start, the 14-16 nothing leads after one. You just don't see it in the NFL. You don't see it in regular season. So that's my take.
Scott, what's been your surprise?
Oh, I don't know. It's a surprise. It is what it is. I want to, first of all, I want to thank everybody at the Florida Citrus Bowl Association for taking good care of Candy and I. The PR guy's name is Sam. I don't remember his last name. Gave me an opportunity to ask questions at key times, and I was able to get some really good ones in to both Coach Cristobal and Matt Campbell. Unbelievable the way we were treated up there. The only thing that kind of surprised me a little bit, but then when I started to figure it out, it wasn't a surprise how Cam Ward only played one half, and then now it was who's the Emory Williams, I think, Candy ended up playing the second half. Miami comes up on the short end of a 1-point loss. So good game. It really, really was. Cam Ward, to me, played one half for whatever reason. I'll be writing a story on that for the South Florida Tribune any day now. I'm just trying to get over the holiday hangover of what we've had to do over the last several weeks. But Miami Hurricanes, it'll be interesting. The transfer portal will be busy. Mario Cristobal certainly knows how to use it pretty well, and they let their defensive coordinator go. Losing by a point, giving up 40 points, and losing 3 of their last 4 games because the defense wasn't up to par. So, we'll see what happens when the Canes come back. But to me, I just want to thank the folks up in Orlando the way they treated us. And Cam Ward's going to have a great career. I just hope that they don't ruin him with a team that he doesn't need to be with. That's all. Great athlete, unbelievable. Been a pleasure watching him all year.
So that I would like to go into that a little bit more because there's been some controversy why Cam Ward only played a half and why Mario didn't discuss it more. Well, that it's a team sport, and I get that. But there are a lot of players that if they weren't playing for the college football playoffs that have elected that they don't want to get injured, so they're not going to play in these bowl games because they could be NFL prospects and they're afraid if they get injured that they wouldn't get contracts. Cam Ward, from what I've heard from around because I was on the sideline, is that there were NFL scouts there at the bowl game that wanted to see him. He played only a half. I can tell you from the crowd at the end of the game when there was less than a minute left, because Iowa State literally scored with a minute left to go ahead 42-41. The crowd was chanting for Ward to go back in that game. He did not. Now, whether it was his decision, he doesn't want to get injured, but he wanted to break the record. Whether it was Mario's decision, he wanted to see what he had in Emory Williams before the season was over. Because let's face it, the transfer portal is already now it's done for the first one. But whatever the reason was, Mario, I thought, took the high road and said, you know what? That was a discussion that he had with his players before the game, and he wasn't going to discuss it. We really don't need to know. It was whatever the decision was for the team, and that's the long and the short of it. Now, do I think that the NIL, the transfer portal, should not be open until after all the bowl games? Absolutely. All these teams that were trying to play or couldn't even play because so many people had transferred. You have coaches that can't. Why should players be able to? And then you hear about some teams that ran out of NIL money and didn't even have NIL money left for bowl games. They've got to do a better job of policing that whole realm. And I get it. This is all new to NC2A and everything. But they've got to do a better job because some of these teams don't have their star people because they want to go into the draft or because they're transferring. And so it makes it, yes, this is the last of their season, but is it really the same team that was on the field for all of their regular season? And that's the difference. And so as much as I've enjoyed it, I do definitely think they have got to put some regulations on this transfer portal and NIL. Megan, happy 2025. Glad that you're here and joining us.
Hi, Megan.
So let's shift to the NFL. Let's talk a little NFL. There is a huge matchup this weekend. Minnesota versus Detroit. The winner gets a bye for the first round of the playoffs, and the loser becomes what, the fourth or fifth, the fifth seed? Fifth seed. So that's a huge difference. Like from winning one game, you either have a bye the first week or you go down to the fifth seed. Now, under some of the people that have talked about in this chat tonight, do you want to play the first round or do you want to bye? And I get the Lions, their bye was really early in the season, so they could use getting healthy. But there is something to be said about playing in continuity and not having a week off. So, Keegan, I would say winner gets home field advantage. I would say yes, but to some people, home field advantage is not what it used to be, I would say, anymore. So some of these teams are doing really well on the road, and so does it really matter? So let's talk about Minnesota versus Detroit. And this time I'm going to let Scott go first.
Lions need to buy in the worst way so they can get some players back, period. Alex Anzalone is coming back. One hope you can hope for is David Montgomery, if you're able to get that extra time off. Jahmyr Gibbs is doing a whale of a job. He really, really is. You really find out what a dynamite pick he was. So I think for no other reason for Detroit, I don't care about continuity in some cases. Some cases, yes. Some cases, no. If the Lions only have to win 2 games at Ford Field to get to the Super Bowl, then more power to them. So they need it for the rest, I think, more than anything, because they haven't had a bye since week 5. That's pretty much the nature of it.
George?
Well, yeah, I agree. Scott nailed it. I mean, basically, this is a team that's been hurt with 22 guys, and Jeremy's been, I know, on the show telling you guys every week about, guys coming back, which is good. I mean, it's a long season, and they're starting to get some fellas back. But the bottom line is they still could use that week to rest up. The Lions have no trouble winning on the road. However, if they have to go on the road as the number 5, they would have to. They could get it done. I'm not saying they wouldn't get it done. They could go that route, but I don't see them losing at home. I don't see them losing. I know Minnesota's a dome stadium, and so is Detroit, and I know that both teams are comfortable in domes. But listen, those fans, as you guys know, are going to crank up the noise meter, man, because they're not going to be able to hear their signals. They're going to have all of that going on too. All I'm saying is that I agree with Scott. Detroit has to get a little bit extra rest, and you're absolutely right. They got one of the earliest, if not the earliest, bye the teams that had the earliest week of the year, and so that really was such a long time ago. But that being said, Detroit can win on the road, but you'd rather not do it that way if you don't have to. Plus, like you guys said, you play 2 games at home, and you're in the Super Bowl. I mean, you win those 2 at home is what I mean, as the number 1 seed. Don't
lose sight of the fact they've had pretty good luck playing on NBC too. What did they end up beating the Texans? And they beat the Packers,
and the Chiefs. Don't forget when they did And Mike Tirico's got that magic broadcast voice.
The Thursday night game was when we beat the Chiefs last year. It was the first game of the season, period, on Amazon. It was the very first game on Amazon.
No, you're wrong. NBC gets the Super Bowl winning game, and NBC had it the 1 year, and that's in
Oh, okay.
Tirico.
So, but I'm just saying it was the
Last
first
year.
week.
No,
Yeah,
I'm talking NBC, Jeremy.
Right.
I'm
I
talking
know.
NBC.
I
Okay.
understand what you're saying, but it was
Okay.
week 1 on Thursday night, Sunday night is what I'm trying to say, because it was the very first game of the season. It was the NFL opener was Kansas City versus Detroit versus Kansas City in Kansas City that
Yeah,
year.
and that was on Thursday night.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It
Right,
was a
and then
Thursday night.
right, and now
Yeah.
of course we're talking when it preceded with the Packers before. Then of course
But
they
this
beat the
season-
Texans too.
This season, this will be our third Sunday night football game, though it will, because the very first game was the Rams.
Right. Well, that's true. Okay.
The
Yeah,
Rams, the Texans, and now this Minnesota one.
Yeah,
Right.
they won all three of them, and they have a chance to win their fourth.
And
So-
Seattle was on Monday Night Football, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a
The
Monday night
Seattle,
football game.
Right.
Detroit's
Yeah,
home
but
game.
George, stay on point. We're talking NBC, okay?
But,
Period.
Ooh,
Mike Tirico, you ever heard of both? Okay.
no, never heard of them. Where's Al
Yeah,
Michaels?
and he downplayed the win for Detroit in Kansas City too.
Yeah,
so
I remember that too.
I kind of don't like Mike Tirico. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Is anybody that's going to downplay a win
Yeah.
and try to make it discount it, you know what?
Asterisk.
Shove it.
Asterisk. Yeah,
Yeah.
he wanted to
Well,
asterisk.
he
it.
downplayed it because Travis Kelce didn't play in it. Well, whoopee-doo. How many times you've
Well,
gone
he
to a game?
came out he was so good that the next game he came out and had 3 catches for 39 yards and 0 touchdowns and 4 drops.
Yeah, but my
Yeah, he
point
was
is
great.
that I'd like to think that Mike Tirico has learned a little bit from that situation as he's gone on to other games. I don't think anybody realized how good the Lions were, but now obviously they're finding out differently. But only reason I brought this point is they've had good luck on NBC. The game's on NBC, and you know what thing about Mike Tirico? He doesn't have to. He can sleep in his own bed the night before since he lives in Ann Arbor, anyways.
Yeah.
That's his only redeeming factor. He lives in Ann Arbor. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
Points per offense. The Lions lead the league at 33.3. Minnesota's ranked 9th at 26.4. Defenses were very close. As a matter of fact, the 3 teams that are behind Minnesota are all tied with Detroit. It's exactly 2 points less on what they give up. Minnesota gives up 18.8 points because, let's face it, they did knock the snot out of somebody just not too long ago. Wasn't that? Oh, yeah, the Bears. And then
Bears.
and tied for 8th, because that's where all of them are at, is at 20.8, is the Lions and 3 other teams. But if you look at it, if you break it down, and they're saying it's a 2-point game now on most of the betting sites, it's a 5-point advantage according to the numbers in this. It's a 5-point advantage Lions. When you break down the numbers, scores for scores, what offense does what, and everything else. Because how often does Minnesota score over 30 points?
Good point.
4 times this year. How many times has Detroit scored 40 points or more? 6 times. That's not even including the 30-point games.
Yeah, but if you're going to go with that, why don't you look at the other side of the equation and the fact that Brian Flores, who should get a head coaching job, look at his numbers defensively where they don't have to score over 30 points.
But they do versus the Lions, because guess what? All 3 games that the Lions have played versus Minnesota, they've scored over 30 points and won every single one of them.
All right, I'm just making a point about Brian Flores being a great defensive coordinator and his body of work all year. That's all.
Oh, yeah. But outside of the Lions, he's been great.
Yeah, that's my point. Thank you.
Okay,
That
Pensman.
That was your redeeming quality on that comment.
Pensman, talk to me. Minnesota versus Detroit.
I think Detroit needs to get it because of what everybody's saying. The Lions had their bye week in 5, so they need that bye week. They need a rest. They're better at home than they are away, even though they can compete away. But that crowd's oh man, that crowd's. I wish the Steelers were like that. The crowd, I know they travel, but the Steelers crowd is nothing like Detroit crowd. But they just need to get that bye and rest up, and that's how And now you can win 2 games and you're in the Super Bowl that they urgently need to save their franchise.
Yes. So I think it'll be a very interesting game. I think it's been a tough division for at least the 3 teams. I can say that, Ralph, welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. The fact that the Packers only have 5 losses, 2 against Minnesota, 2 against Detroit, and 1 against the Eagles. All 3 are in the playoffs by far. And it'll be interesting. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be a good game. I'm glad it's not in Minnesota because I can't stand listening to the Minnesota horn, which you
They're so
hear
annoying.
If you've ever been to a game, I remember when I had to listen to it at the old Metrodome on the same site. I couldn't stand it either.
Oh,
So
they're
Ralph,
so
your
annoying.
thoughts? Ralph, your thoughts on the Detroit Minnesota game?
Well, I will say, the even match teams here, it's going to be a tough fight. It really is going to be a tough fight. And I think it's going to be a local. You have 2 and you have 2 good offenses.
Ralph, you must be having some internet problems. You're going in and out.
Well, how about now? Can you hear me now?
No, it's bad.
Hello?
It's bad. It's
Yep.
bad.
We can hear you.
Hey, now you're moving. You're leaving.
There you are. There you are. Now talk.
All right. All right. Yeah, I had to do something here. All right. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Good. Okay. I said the Minnesota and Detroit game is going to be a dogfight. It's going. You have two evenly matched teams, pretty much. Some of them have gotten. It's better to be lucky than good. If both of these teams this year have gotten lucky on some games, and so the resurrection of Sam Darnold, I'm impressed with that. Over there in Minnesota and Detroit, I'm impressed with what they're doing, and the gambler Dan Campbell, and we'll see what he does on 4th down in this game. So, Brian Flores, I agree with Scott, should be a head coach. Didn't work with him properly and let him walk. And I think that was wrong, but that's my opinion on that with Brian Flores, and I believe he should be a head coach.
Okay. What NFL game besides the Lions Minnesota game this weekend are you looking forward to? And we'll start with Pensman.
I am looking forward to it. I surprised Jeremy last night because I was on Jeremy's show last night. I'm looking forward to the Baltimore Browns game, and I'm looking forward to the Steelers and Cincinnati game. And he asked me who I thought was going to win the Cincinnati and Steelers game, and I said Cincinnati just because of how the Steelers are playing. But anything's possible. We got people back, so the Steelers might surprise me. I just want them to go out and play the best they can. But the last 4 weeks, Steelers have been playing flat. But I'm looking forward to that Saturday's games.
Okay. Scott, which game are you looking forward to?
Well, if Nick Sirianni had made the decision to let Saquon Barkley rest, I would have been looking forward to that because he had a chance to break Eric Dickerson's all-time rushing record. But I understand where Sirianni's coming from. I really do. You don't want your best, arguably one of your best players get hurt on the last day of the regular season, and he's out to win a Super Bowl. But that's a game I was really looking forward to. I really was. Philadelphia against the Giants. I'd like to see that Barkley got the last laugh in this particular thing when the Giants let him walk, and where in retrospect they should have kept the guy.
Okay. George.
Well, it's going to be a lot of good games. There's no question about it. The league was smart in putting 2 of them on Saturday. And I got to go ahead with what Pensman says. I'm looking forward to the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game. Jeff Burrows had a fantastic season, but we all know that it hasn't showed up in the win column. The Bengals haven't been winning much until recently. Pittsburgh, here's another program that, I know Ralph wasn't too high on them when we were on his show way back in exhibition games, but I'll tell you what, they are right there again. So it's going to be a great game. It's an 8 o'clock start on ABC, ESPN, and the line is what? Cincinnati, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Favored by 2.5. Is that right?
Yep. That's
Two and a half
2.5.
points. Yeah, two and a half points.
Which technically, because bettors usually give the home team a 3-point advantage, that means
Yeah.
it's actually a 5.5 point advantage to the Bengals, according to the numbers.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's going to be a hell of a game. And of course, besides, like you said, the Detroit and Minnesota one, there's other ones that are all important too. But that's the one I'm looking forward to most, Candy and Scott.
Okay. Smoking Jeremy B. Which one are you looking forward to?
Well, it's actually two that I really look forward to because they tie in together. The Cincinnati Steelers game, and I'm going to defend the Steelers here because the last 3 weeks they played those games within 11 days, and they finally had a week off. That's why they got healthy. They might come out and just surprise people and play like they did before that stretch of all those games close together.
Please,
So-
please.
I'm Pensman. I've been trying to talk you off that ledge about Cincinnati for 2 nights now. But anyways,
I know,
the
but
one that-
please.
the one that actually that game hinges upon is going to be deciding whether they rest their starters in Denver versus Kansas City. Because if Cincinnati wins, Denver can't rest their starters because they're going to have to go all out versus the second string of Kansas City, who's sitting all their starters.
Good
Ralph.
point. Good point.
Ralph, what game
yeah.
besides the Minnesota Lions game are you looking forward to?
Well, I'm looking forward, like Pensman said, to Cleveland and the Ravens. I'd like to see Cleveland pull off the upset and beat the Ravens so that we don't. And if the Steelers win, we win the division. And I would like to see that happen. And we'll see where these games go this week. And then, of course, you, as Jeremy said, you got Kansas City versus Denver. I'd like to see Denver pull it off as well, and see Kansas City lay an egg and lose that game. So, but Andy Reid don't lay too many eggs, but we'll see what happens in that game as well. But yeah, and Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, of course. I'd like to see the Steelers get back on the winning track here. They're going into the playoffs. They got to get stronger, and they got to get their stuff together. Communication problems on defense. They got to fix it. They have the veterans to fix it. Let's see what they can do. What I'm surprised about is that Mike Tomlin's been a head coach for 18 years, and his defense has communication problems. So, we'll see where it goes.
Terrell Austin. Terrell Austin.
Yeah,
Ben Johnson, come to
Jeremy warned
Pittsburgh.
Jeremy warned and George warned us about Terrell Austin. So
Yeah. we
Ben
did.
Johnson, you're welcome to come to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because I asked you who was your new DC when you said Terrell Austin. I said, good luck. Because he was great the year.
we had Brian Flores and we let him go.
yeah, I said that earlier, Pensman. We let Brian Flores walk away.
Well, when we had Terrell Austin, if you remember right, he was with Jim Caldwell.
Yes.
The great year when we had that great defense. But the problem is, as soon as he actually had to coach guys that weren't as good, he fell apart. Because once all those stars off of that team walked away because we couldn't afford them, look at what happened. The defense went from second in the NFL to 15th to 26th in 2 seasons.
Well, I'm going to let you guys know something. He was a candidate twice for the Pitt head coaching job, and I'm glad he didn't get it.
You should be thanking your lucky stars because, I'm sorry, as a Detroit fan, if we had Tomlin all this time and was going to the playoffs every year, we'd be dancing on tabletops every year.
But let me ask you this, Jeremy: is 9-8 acceptable?
If you're in the playoffs and you do something, yes, it is.
Is 9-8 mediocrity acceptable? That's what I want to know.
I just said if you go to the playoffs and actually win something at 9-8, it is, because we've seen 9-8 teams go all the way to the Super Bowl. So the fact that the Giants did it twice.
Well, they were 9-7.
And the Steelers
9-7,
did it
9-8,
the year
something like
Cowher went to the Super Bowl. They were in the 7th seed in the wild card and went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
So
Hey, listen, Jeremy, I'm not a math major, and I'll never pretend to be. But 9-8 and 9-7 are different, and all you need to do is do the math on the winning percentage. But to your credit, they won the Super Bowl with that record. And more importantly, when Candy's 10-6 Packers won the Super Bowl and they had better records, then yes, you can have a mediocre or subpar team to win it all, because it's when you get hot and what players are the most healthy ones by the time you get into the tournament.
Now,
well, like the
barely
playoffs is a whole new season, guys. And Candy. I mean, it's a whole new season.
Oh yeah, we know that. We covered
throw the regular season out the window. Once you get into the playoffs, whole new season. Start all over.
100%.
Yeah,
Everybody's
sure.
0-0.
So
Please.
I know none of you are looking forward to the game that I'm looking forward to. And obviously I understand why. It's not like the Packers have a lot to play for. But they're playing against the Bears. They are playing against the Bears. They are already
Jeremy, show her the picture.
I'm gonna get it right now.
Packers.
You talking about what they need?
No,
Which
you
one?
know
Hey,
what picture
I'm looking forward to it, Candy. I took the Bears. No, I'm just kidding.
Ooh,
The
took Caleb
Packers-
Williams.
The Packers.
No, I
Bears
didn't take the
rivalry-
Bears.
Come on. Let's let her finish.
The Packers Bears rivalry started back in 1921. They have played 209 times, including 2 postseason games. The reason why I'm really looking forward to it, and I know Chicago is not having a good year, I need to see the Packers play 4 good quarters, string them together. Because as you're going into the playoffs, you need to be hot. You need to play all 4 quarters. As we've seen in some of even these bowl games, some of these teams are hot in one half and then they're not. And so I need to see 4 good quarters from the Packers, because I would like to see them be a surprise team in the playoffs and everybody be scared of them, because they are a young team. Now, I understand we will not have Jair Alexander. He is having season-ending injury surgery, so he will not be out. I mean, he'll be out. He's not going to be there for the playoffs or the regular season. But that's what I'd like to see. Is I want to see 4 good quarters of them. Besides, the game of the week really is the Lions-Vikings game. I think that'll be very interesting. The one thing I did not, when I went around, I did not say anything about what I'm looking forward to in 2025. But I can tell you guys that we got the news today that we were approved to cover Super Bowl week. So we will be down in the media center covering them for the South Florida Tribune. It'll be interesting to see what 2 teams are there and who will be able to interview. So I just really look forward to that. That is something I have never been to a Super Bowl. So I think that'll be cool.
Don't worry, I'll give you a workout like you've never had before.
Now, I am saying we have not been approved to cover the actual game. I'm just going to go out there that I don't know that we have a chance even for that yet, but we will be there for the week so we can be on Radio Row. We can talk to some of the players, interview them during the week, during some of the pre-festivities. Now, I also don't know how that is going to change, knowing what just happened in New Orleans the other night, though, as well, because the Super Bowl is being held in New Orleans. Now, I know they will be prepared, but what that means as far as coverage and access, what will that change? I don't know, but I'm excited no matter who's in there. Obviously, a team that I have ties to would be better, but I'm not gonna. It's still an honor and a privilege that I will be covering it for the South Florida Tribune. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I've got connections how to get to the game. George knows who I'm talking about. I don't know whether I could get in this time around or not, but you know what? Let me tell you what. The the events leading up to the game are unbelievable. And when Candy and I finally get around to doing the final paperwork, we'll know exactly what we have to do. You know, when you've been there, you've done that. To me, there's nothing better than to be able to just come up with as much content as you can. And for me, the Super Bowl is about making connections and contacts. And that's what I told you folks that I am partially retiring and taking a lot off. This is exactly where I tend to do certain things and make the most of my networking opportunities, you know, when the situation presents itself. So it'll be a good experience. It really will. And I'm happy for Candy, and she obviously gets to go to New Orleans the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Candy, you're not
Yep.
impressed with the Seahawks and the Saints game? With the Packers game? You're not impressed with the Saints and the Seahawks game against the Packers? You said they drew up all 4 quarters. Then the Packers play all.
I don't think they have played all 4 quarters well in any game that I've watched this season, and I've watched those games.
Oh, okay.
I think they need to string it together where they play all 4. And I'm gonna say this. I think that coaching has to do with it too, because the Packers are not the Detroit Lions. 4th down in the Minnesota game, they should have kicked that field goal. And without a doubt, easily you should have, and they didn't. And they tried to go for it. And I'm sorry, you have 4 down. You have four downs to go, you can go for it. But the first 3 downs you couldn't get it. And on the road, in playing an opponent that is ahead of you in the standings, you go for points. You don't go for that yard. And I know Dan Campbell probably would have gone for it. And he has a different team, and he's been doing it all year. Matt LaFleur has not done that all year. So that was not the time or the place, if you ask me. But
Pensman asked me to share a photo, and it's what Carl of Barstool Sports said Chicago needs to be successful. I have it down there in the window for you. They just need a new owner, a new president, a new GM, a new coach, new stadium, at least 3 offensive linemen, a new OC, a new DC. Caleb Williams to get better. The Lions fall off. The Vikings fall off. And the Packers change divisions, and they'll be a winning team again.
yes.
How's that for an off-season shopping list?
And he's
Wow.
actually a Bears fan. He's a Bears fan that said that on Barstool Sports.
Yes.
I just find it funny that even their own fans and the guys that are their talking heads have started talking like this.
Yes. Okay, it's time for My Town. Let's roll with My Town. What do we want to talk about? Scott, what's happening in your town?
Wow, what a shame Ralph isn't on at the moment, but I was happy about that New Year's Eve game when the Red Wings beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-2 under new coach Todd McClellan. That was a fine hire by the Red Wings. A lot of people probably thought Joel Quenneville could be the guy. Was not. Gerard Gallant, I didn't think would be, because he's only lasted about an average of 2 or 3 seasons. He's the equivalent to Billy Martin of hockey, but Todd McClellan will do a good job. Incidentally, the Red Wings did beat Columbus tonight 5-4, winning their 3rd straight game. My mind, and as far as Florida is concerned, well, the Florida Gators found themselves eating humble pie. Well, no, actually, they clobbered Tulane. It was the Michigan Wolverines in Florida beating Alabama. I know we talked about this earlier. Ward Manuel looks like a genius right now for excluding Alabama. The Miami situation still is a little touch and go. I think Cam Ward would have certainly have made a much bigger difference in this tournament, but we'll never know anyways. So I'll be curious to see what the Canes are going to do, but hats off to the Wolverines for beating Alabama, Ohio State in the last couple of games to let people know that watch out for us. We'll be back next year.
Pensman, what's happening in your town?
Well, hopefully the Steelers will win on Saturday and win a playoff game. I'm not saying a Super Bowl, but I just want them to win a playoff game. And then Sidney Crosby, congratulations. Congratulations to him. He's the all-time assist leader in franchise history of passing Mario Lemieux.
George, what's happening in your town?
Well, the thing that I was most concerned about was the injury to the Detroit Pistons, Jaden Ivey. He's played very, very well this year. Pistons have been under Bickerstaff. They've found their rhythm. They've been winning. They recently, won 3 in a row out west. They beat the Magic also. And unfortunately, surgery for a broken fibula. Boy, does that sound familiar in Detroit. So Jaden Ivey went under the knife, surgery already. He'll be lost indefinitely to this team. And that's going to be a big, big hole in the lineup to try to fill for Bickerstaff and the Pistons. But all things considered, this is a team now that has surpassed the entire win total of last year. The 15 wins by the Pistons, they're 15-18 now, has brought back some excitement to Little Caesars Arena. And it's certainly fun to go see them now. Cade Cunningham, he's got to get on the All-Star team. He deserves it. And Ivey was headed for the All-Star team as well, in my mind. But now he's out after undergoing surgery. So that's the one I wanted to mention today, Candy. Scott's already covered a couple other ones that I had on my list, but there's always room for more.
Well, the latest I had heard on Ivy is going to be out about 4 or 5 weeks. Surgery went really well for him. So, and Oscar Thompson, I believe, is the guy who's going to pick up some playing time. But, again, one can only hope that Trajan Langdon has the same Brad Holmes effect where, all right, somebody goes down, who am I going to pick up? You always want to be able to find guys. One goes down, bring another one up.
Right.
But those are the latest reports I'm getting up there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been following that too, George. And the Jaden Ivey thing, the best thing was there was no muscle, nerve, or ligament damage, and that's why and it's the fibula, not the tibia. The tibia is the worst one because that's the one that supports all your weight. So with it being the fibula, they just put a titanium rod in it, they screw it to it, and let it heal, and he's able to come back first.
Well, I hope so. Because they could use him.
Joshua Dorr, Ralph is having internet issues. He answered your question in the chat if you look at it.
Yeah, there you go. And Joshua, with all due respect, I got a good place to go if you want a dog check. It's called the Humane Society. You get all the dog checks you want. Let me finish. Okay, I'll handle it. So if you want a dog check, Joshua, I know I've gone up to Palm Beach County, adopted 2 cats up there at Broward Humane Society. I'll bet you get all the dog checks you want. Maybe if you're lucky enough, you might be able to adopt one of those puppies. Good stuff. That's all we have to say about it. Okay, Jeremy?
Smoking Jeremy B., what's happening in your town?
Well, for the first time in NFL history, we got 2 teams that are 14-2. Well, with 14 wins, period, facing off for the last week of the season. Both teams have played very well, and it's going to be a dogfight. And I'm expecting an epic match of the ages, just like it was back in week 7. Wait, wasn't that when Minnesota had their only home loss? Oh, just saying.
And by the way, Joshua, let me also bring something in a very lighthearted manner, because I'm a very lighthearted guy when I need it, okay? You thought this was a Humane Society. Now, if you go ahead and take off the E, it's called the Human Society. But yes, you are bad. So I'll agree with you on the back end of the comment. A dog check for a dog fight. Why don't you go out to Norfolk State? Maybe Michael Vick will set you up, and then you and your cronies could go out there and be able to figure that one out. So there you go, Joshua. Of course, he probably doesn't know Michael Vick. But you know what, Joshua Dorr, in this beautiful world of cyberspace, look up Michael Vick. He'd be able to show you all the dog fights you want. And if he's lucky, he might throw you in there and they might have a Joshua Dorr for dinner. Of course, maybe you're skinny enough to be an appetizer. Nevertheless, that's where I am with that.
Just watch out for the pit bulls. They bite.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, the pit bulls. Joshua, you would have make sure you leave your son and your wife away from the pit bulls. Okay. Now, Michael Vick is what you call the football player, not the tennis
The
player.
tennis player? That he thinks he's a tennis player?
Yeah, well, like
Really?
you said, you know.
Seriously?
Yeah, there you go. Now I'm teaching Penman the right way. You got to get that seriously and really down pat when I'm on with you.
But
If
Michael
you come
Vick, a
on-
tennis player? Come on now.
Well, what do you want? The
Come
guy that
on.
Janet. Wait a minute, Penman. Hold it. Now I'm talking to you. This guy here
Okay.
works in the. This guy works in the maintenance and the cleaning business. So he doesn't. When it comes to tennis players,
Everybody
that's a different.
knows about Vic. Everybody.
Not him. Not him.
Apparently not.
He's the tennis player that runs all the dog fosters. All right, well, we'll leave it alone. Joshua, enjoy kibitzing with you, but do me a favor. We're going to kibitz. We need to do something called intelligent. Or actually, you know what? In your case, Joshua, we'll just say AI, artificial intelligence, because it is
Okay.
artificial.
Okay. I'm going to reel this show back in.
Go ahead.
I'm going to quick do a station break because I didn't do one earlier. This
Yeah.
show is brought to you by South Florida Tribune Publishing Company that published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morgan Roth, and the foreword is written by George Eichhorn, two of our panelists tonight. You can get your copy on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books, and the audiobook is going to be coming out in the next shortly. Hopefully in the next, I would say within the next month for sure. We're working on uploading it, and then it takes a little while for it to get approved and stuff like that. So it is coming soon. Watch for details. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where three of the fine gentlemen tonight on this panel write for us, Scott, George, and Smoking Jeremy B. So go to our website, check out their articles, check out their channels. The other thing is the other panel, one of the other panelists on this group also wrote a book, Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. It is available on Amazon as well.
I've got
If
both
you like
of
to
them.
listen, if you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Next week, we will be going back to more of our regular programming. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday and Thursday nights on Sports Exchange. And then here on Fire Up, you never know what we're going to be talking about. So you have to tune in to find out. Okay, so guys, any other topics you want to talk about tonight?
Yes, I want to talk about the poor people of New Orleans and this crazy fool that went and created chaos. We have to stop this. We have to stop it now. And I know it's easier said than done, but they're using now vehicles in such a terrible way. They had a terrible accident down there and a deliberate accident. And it just has to stop. I mean, we've got people down there preparing for the Notre Dame Georgia Sugar Bowl that were disrupted, and we've got people there that were just visiting and celebrating New Year. It's just a terrible, terrible situation. So we hope and pray that this kind of nonsense comes to an end very, very soon. We're sending our prayers and love to all of them affected by it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else anybody else wants to talk about tonight before we...
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say is I'll be hosting again on Tuesday night. Need a little bit of a break to catch up on some admin work here at the Tribune. So I'll be inside the picture. It'll be on next Tuesday night, and then the regular schedule. Pensman obviously comes on the Sports Exchange at night on Wednesday. And of course, he does this as well. So I'll look forward to get back in it, but I've enjoyed the time off to try to get a lot of important admin things done as we go out and prepare for a big 2025 year.
Okay. So let's go around the horn. Tell everybody how they can get a hold of you, how they can support you, because without you guys being on our show, we wouldn't be here either. So let's start with you, Pensman.
I have my own channel, Pensman Sports. I have 704 subscribers now. Let's get me monetized. Let's get that 1,000. Let's get monetized. I'll be grateful for that, for my extra income. And you can find me on X on Pensman Sports.
And Joshua, to answer your last question, she's not here, and refrain from mentioning other spouses because that's a one-way ticket out the door, just so you know, on my show that I produce or I'm involved in. So Joshua, and you know what, and I want you to put Joseph Osteen up there because this is important to make sure we set standards how things are done. Why is you know what, a Josh thing on Jeremy's show too, Joshua? You know, there's a thing about contributing, and there's a thing called being a distraction. You want to avoid number two. Otherwise, as Ernie Harwell would definitely go out there and say that the ball is long gone. Okay, why is that? Because you know what? It's not applicable to what we're doing. Okay, we're not talking about whether Pensman's live or not. The fact that he's on here. So Joshua, that thing called common sense needs to somehow find a way from the back of the head to the front of the head. But yeah, we know his shows are excellent. Otherwise, we wouldn't be supporting his platform as well as him supporting us. So just trying to give you a little bit of constructive criticism, Joshua, coming from the boss. Okay, I don't come on these too often, but every now and then I like to come on once in a while to see what the flow is like in the chat room and the camaraderie I have on this platform. And that's really good. And my goal is to make sure every single show that we put on here is A1. If it's not A1, then Jeremy and George will tell you I'm not a good guy when I'm angry. There, God, thank you for the lesson. Amen. Good. I hope it goes in one ear, but not out the other. And then the answer to that will be, you're welcome. Continue on.
Scott, George, how do people get a hold of you?
Yes, you could follow me on the South Florida Tribune. I write under the Motor City Tribune banner, along with Jeremy and Scott and Candy and the great photos she takes at all the sporting events. There's a copy of my book right there, the cover of the book at least, and that's available. There's a link at the end of my columns at the Motor City Tribune. If you care to link up to Amazon, you can find it there and get a real good price on it. And I'll be happy to sign it if you want to send it my way, but that's step number 2. You can reach me anytime at gicorn@yahoo.com or on LinkedIn under my name, George Icorn, or on Twitter, Sanji Sports 99. And looking forward to our future shows and a great year in 2025. Thanks for having me.
And Candy's role at the Super Bowl is she'll be actually a writer and doing my video work for me on site. So I know she's looking forward to that challenge there. She's done all the marvelous video work for me anyways, but now she's going to be on a much bigger stage than she's ever been on. And I'm glad that we're able to do this because there's nothing better than her wanting to go to New Orleans for the first time, let alone being at a major event, which she so definitely deserves to be on. I'm proud of the progress this woman has made. And the fact that she's a host on Fire Up along with you, Jeremy, is important to reward people that have put forth a good effort. And Candy has done an unbelievable job. I'm just looking forward to the trip for you. I've been there, done that, but to see you go, it'll make me feel a lot better because even though I've been really sick a lot lately and it's not going to get easier, I don't want to divulge my medical problems. I'm trying to grind out everything that I can do while I still have some time left.
Yep. Amen.
And
Thank
you know
you very
what?
much
I
for
will
being
make
here.
one. I will make one last revelation. I have zero problem with it at all. At the end of the year, I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And this is a disease which, you know, when it comes to progression, ultimately we're trying to slow down the progression. So I'm trying to get a lot of things done on my bucket list that I want to get done. I want to make sure I have as many opportunities as I can to work with all of y'all and make sure that Candy continues to see the best things she can because she stood up to every challenge that she's made, not only at the events, but building this website from the ground up. And to see her be able to accomplish things like this, to me, makes me feel very good that she had no media experience. And now look where she's at. She's been unbelievable.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Scott. Jeremy, how can we find you and support you?
Well, right here on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel every Thursday night with Fire Up, occasionally on Inside the Pigskin. And whenever Scott wants me on the Motor City Mad Mouth on Wednesdays, I'm there with him and George. So you can also find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions, where I talk Lions football from noon to 1, Monday through Friday, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. Then all my shows I simulcast on my channel too. So even when I'm on somebody else's show, hey, it still pops up. You can also find my writings, as they said, on the Motor City Tribune heading on the South Florida Tribune website.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Again.
Yeah, and I think one of Jeremy's goals should be so that we know. And this is something that I don't mind telling him because he's obviously handled coaching well. But I think the two of Jeremy's biggest goals this year will be to make sure that he builds his LinkedIn account because that's vital to survive in this business, and continue to build his Twitter account because that's how you get your name out. That's how you land guests. But he's coachable. I'm just saying this because I know that I can say this in a very constructive way, and he seems to take the coaching the right way. And I say that because I sincerely care. Okay.
Yes. The South
Very
Florida Tribune Publishing Company published Scott's first book. And yes, I did say his first book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Google, Apple, Kindle. Get your copy today because book number 2 is in the works. Scott's gonna start to write it really, really soon. So get the copy number 1 first so you can read that before the number 2 comes out because you don't want to be behind the 8 ball. You can also find a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can find the writings of Jeremy, George, Scott. I take pictures usually. Once in a while I'll write a thing or two, but mainly pictures. We will be putting up videos shortly for Miami for the Hurricanes bowl game, the pre-press conference, and the post-press conference. Yes. Let's see. What else did I want to? If you listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. Monday nights we typically do baseball. Tuesday nights we talk football. Wednesday nights, Sports Exchange, and Thursday nights, Fire Up. You just never know what we're going to be talking about. Fire Up Florida normally talks NHL, but sometimes Scott does a second Sports Exchange where he talks more sports and hockey at the national level. What else do I want to talk about tonight? If you have not yet subscribed to our channel, please do so. There's a red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner. We're always looking for more subscribers. Yes, we are over 1,000, but we want more because you can never have too many. And most importantly, if you have friends or family that you know of that would like this show or any of the shows on our platform, or any of the shows on any of our guests that are contributing to our show tonight on their channels, please subscribe, watch them. You don't need to watch this regular TV. Watch YouTube, watch our shows, watch their shows. They're entertaining. And we love talking sports. That's why we're here. And I want to thank everybody that's been in the chat room. And I doubled.
And Dale, I want to thank you personally. I appreciate you very much, and thanks for tuning in. And I always think about people like you that are class act. So thank you very much for the prayers. Much appreciated.
And yes, you can get rid of Twitter. That's fine. So there is now Blue Sky that is out there. There's all kinds of other social medias, but to be in the media these days, in order to get the word out and to get more people to view and watch, social media does help. So,
buddy, thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Got some great people in the chat room with tremendous hearts.
Yes, we do. So thank everybody on the platform, everybody that's watched, everybody that's commented. Again, I don't normally say this, but I will say it. We recognize those comments in the chat that relate to our show, and we would appreciate them being asked of our show or what we're talking about. We love this to interact with people in the chat room as long as they're talking and asking questions related to what we're talking about. With that being said, the first show of 2025 on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel is officially done. Thank all of you guys for being on the show tonight.
You're welcome.
All the people for their comments. Jeremy, you always end us. You want to take us home?
Try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. It's the only way to make the world a better place. Starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. Thank you, Dale and Buddy, for blessing and talking about Scott and everything else. I'll talk to you guys because you're my subs tomorrow at noon.
Thanks, everybody. Scott, any final comments?
Looking forward to getting back in the swing of things, and it's good to be on a platform that we're still trying to build a lot more things to it. And I spend a lot of my time trying to find people to solidify shows, but I appreciate the growth that we have in the chat room, and I'm not done yet. I have a lot more things I want to get done, but I'm thankful for the people on the network and the ones that are going to be joining the network in the future as well, because I've been working on that a lot during the holidays. Amen. God bless. Once again, Dale, Buddy, I appreciate you guys big time, and everybody else out there.
Thanks,
Pretty much
everybody.
that.
Here's to a happy, healthy, and successful 2025. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.